Namaste, beloveds. I am smoking a cigarette. I've understood that this is my pacifier. And I've also come to understand that just as you see the smoke blowing and being blown and in the air, this is to remind us of what our thoughts are, the consistency, the gravity, the essence that the mind wants you to believe is absolute matter, but it is just smoke. That we are temporarily aware of. And just as our thoughts cloud the true sight, we need to understand that it is just as temporary as the smoke that we see blowing. It comes and goes. It has no will of its own. It does not control you. It only has as much power or influence as you allow it to. And the fact that I still am using the cigarette as a pacifier, as a bridge, as a tool to bring about the stillness of the mind that allows me to be at peace, all the while understanding that it is a crutch, it is a pacifier, it is not the true nourishment, it is only what my immaturity needs in this moment to so-called ground me. This is my tool. This does not have to be anyone else's tool. It is what I find deepest comfort in at the moment. And again, the cigarettes that I smoke are American Spirit. They are pure tobacco and pure menthol and water, and that's it. So it's not loaded with chemicals. It's not loaded with nicotine. These cigarettes don't contain any of that. I'm not advocating cigarette smoking. I'm just allowing this to be the tool that it is currently. And the understanding of what a pacifier is, and the understanding of why we need a pacifier, because we haven't fully been weaned yet in the being quite fully present and comfortable in the I am state. And so this is, for me, a tool, a bridge. It gives me the visual, it gives me the textural, it gives me the taste, it gives the body something to connect with the spirit with. And it gives me the understanding of what can be seen and what can't be seen. And for me, this smoke, this essence, is no different than sage or cedarwood or incense or any of those things that are burned and turned to ash and give off the aroma or the smoke. And in all of that, there is a deep lesson in connecting the seen with the unseen and the needs of the physical body, this physical vehicle that houses the spirit, the I am, the divine presence, the great spirit, that which I have always been and will always be. So, in beginning it this way, it just opens everything up for me to be more comfortable with speaking, with more comfortable in getting ready to share what I'm getting ready to share, and just allowing myself to just be in this state outside of the mind's chaos. And I'm going to get more into that. Um, Now, I'm putting the cigarette out, and it has served its purpose. And I woke up this morning and I wrote down what was present with me, what I woke up with. And what I woke up with is very deep and it's very nourishing and enlightening. Um, I am going to use the imagery and the symbol of a baby bird for this video. And I want you to understand that what that baby bird represents. That baby bird represents your truth, that your driving force right now is hunger. And that hunger is for spiritual food. That hunger drives you to make noises, to squawk just like a baby, to cry, to bring attention to yourself because you are literally starving. And that feeling is a feeling of uncomfortableness. And for the moment, it is your only desire. It is your only drive. It is your only need outside of the nest, outside of the concept of a mother, outside of being safe, outside of what the world is, outside of any of that. There is that takes a back seat to the hunger. And that hunger for me is spiritual knowing, is spiritual understanding, is knowing that what I'm given will feed me, will satiate me, will satisfy this hunger. And that as I am fed, I need to digest it. And some birds regurgitate. The mama bird will regurgitate. She will digest it, part of it, chew it up, or whatever, however you want to see it, before she gives it to that baby bird, before she feeds it to it. This is going to be a show, for no lack of a word, or um, for no better word, I should say, about relationships and the deepness of relationships, and understanding that relationship is something that you have to relay in order to get the movement that you need. And I want you to think of a relay race where you have many different runners. And I want you to understand that those different runners represent your stages of maturity. And as you reach one stage, you hand off to the next runner. And that runner now runs and gets ready to hand off, gets ready to relay. And what is relayed is the truth of yourself, the truth of your movement, the truth of your maturing. It also gives you a place to look, to reflect upon where you have been, how many laps you have already ran to get to this particular stage. And now I'm just going to get into um, what I wrote down. Um, the I in relationships, and understanding it, and understanding it is the I, the eternal I, that observes the race itself, that observes the runners, that observes the handoff, that observes everything that is taking place. And in order to understand that a little bit more, I was shown the biological functioning of the physical eye itself and how it captures, reflects, bends the light, is what was told to me. How the eye bends the light in order to cast an image. And looking more and understanding the biology of the eye and how it functions gives you a deeper understanding of how the eternal eye within you operates when you are connected with it, when that mind, that the body self, the soul self, is connected to the divine or eternal eye within you. I have been on a journey that is very ancient, and it's called self-inquiry. And this self-inquiry has to be done with no judgment. You have to observe your physical state, your physical state of mind, your physical state of being, your physical understanding of your presence here in this time, in this place, in this plane, in this dimension, in however you need to frame that. And again, you have to be able to observe with a form of detachment that is non-judgmental, only to discern, what is going on, only to connect the dots, only to awaken you to you don't have all these different eyes. There truly is only one, and that is the eternal eye. And that is who you are. And when you are able to see or allow that eye to observe and to live and to function, then you are in a deeper state of your truest self. You are vibrating from a much more wholesome, healthy perspective. And there is a sense of peace because this state is home, is home base, is where you originate from. When this body, physical body ends, it is where you will still be. Again, I was taken to the frame. I'm being told to use it as a frame, a framework, frame of reference, and you can give it as much credence as you choose to. But this particular story has tremendous spiritual nourishment and depth and texture, and it can give you grounding from which to broaden your horizons, so to speak, or to understand the vastness that you contain, that the eternal eye is gifting us with. That story goes back to, again, for me, ancient Egypt, and it is the story of Set, Osiris, Horus, Isis, and Nephthys. And you need to understand that, bring that to this world, to this time frame, and understand that Set was sterile. He was unable to produce children or offspring. And for him, this caused chaos. This caused him to doubt himself. This caused him to experience what we call the opposite of spiritual fruits. It caused him jealousy. It caused him to think less of himself. It caused him to feel that he needed to seize power by force. It caused it gave birth to the world. Set was the outside world. Set is the mind that is not awake to its true nature. Set is the rebellion against. Set is the father of duality. When you understand that, his character, his archetype, his role, and you look out at the world that we are in now, and you see the influences of the Set energy, the Set vibration, the Set mindset. And you have to contrast that, the Isis, I'm sorry, the Osiris archetype or self or inner self as represented by the inner world. And you need to understand or understand that Osiris represented abundance. Osiris represented harmony, love, all the fruitage of the spirit. You have deep contrast with the two. And then you have Nephthys and Isis. And with the understanding of this, you have the concept of the male and female within. Understanding the story that Nephthys transformed herself and had an affair with Osiris. She transformed herself into Isis. She looked like Isis. She appeared to be Isis. And she slept with Osiris because she wanted a child. Set was unable to give her one. Set did not get upset with Nephthys. He got upset with Osiris. To him, Osiris was beautiful because Osiris was abundant and Osiris was fertile. So Osiris represented to him paradise or lush, fertile land, and he was the scorching hot desert and just sands. And Nephthys gave birth to Anubis. And Anubis was the one to be brought forth in order to facilitate the afterlife. And if you understand the afterlife to be that which is a relay point where your heart is tested against a feather and you are deemed worthy to go into the land of Osiris, which is the afterlife now. And that afterlife is a peace of mind because you've overcome the world of Set. You have walked through the valley of the shadow of death. You have gone through hell to get to this point. You have come to the point where you dominate your thoughts. Your thoughts do not dominate you. Your mind is no longer, your mind ego is no longer the master of you. You are the master of it. And you no longer identify with the mind as being the absolute truth because you know that it is not. It is just what is processed by the senses, by the hormones, by the moods, by the changes, by the feelings, by the circumstances. But that which is not affected by any of that, that which just observes it, that eternal eye that is within us all, you are handed off to this now. And this is the race that you run with the eternal eye. being your guide and lighting the way for you. Because you understand that this is your truth. This is truly who, what, where, when, why you are and have always been and will always be. So the mind can come up with as many stories, as many scenarios, as many generalizations, as many of its own truths. And you observe it, but you don't give it any credit because you realize who you are, that you are above the mind, that the mind is still the infant, unawakened child crying for attention, needing to be pacified. And it pacifies itself with all of these conceptions. It pacifies itself with a man-made religion. It pacifies itself with its own imagery of itself. It pacifies itself with the manifestation of the world. That is what is meant by being worldly. Being worldly means you are still in your mind. You're still allowing your mind to manifest and create and design and be in control. You're still allowing your mind to be your God and you being else or less than. And that is the lie. You are not God-like. You are God. And that is a extreme concept because we have been so asleep. Because this has been hidden from us, hidden from our consciousness by the set consciousness, by the set mindset, by that which is infertile, by that which is artificial intelligence, by that which designs itself based upon the natural. That which has to keep coming up with narratives because it is not the original narrative, nor is it the true narrative. But in understanding all of this, understand that this set, archetype, understanding, needs to be used as a tool. It is a bridge. Do not allow it to create your world. Use it as contrast to see where you need to go. Just as I was blowing the smoke, that smoke showed a contrast to the air that was already there. You can't see the air. The air is still here. But when I blew the smoke, all you saw was the smoke. And you saw the forms that the smoke took temporarily. But the smoke did not invade the air. It did not stop the air that was present. Air, the atmosphere, whatever you want to call it. And you have to realize that what we are seeing taking place all over the world right now is the awakening that is happening. And we are getting on the verge of what I'll call the great seeing, or the great unveiling of the greatest mystery. And that mystery is know thyself. Know that you are the original observer. You are the eternal I, existing singularly and also in a collective form. And that the world is full of chaos because it knows not how to be still and find its own center, how to find its own foundation of the eternal I. It has denied that within itself. And it believes that its mind, what it thinks, what it manifests, what it creates, it believes that it is truly God. The mind believes that it is God. That is why you can have a sect. That is why you can have leaders in positions in the world, such as we see with Donald Trump and all the other dictators and everything else. And that is why we are so hungry and starving. And no matter how much we scream and cry, what they are feeding us does not satisfy our spirit, our internal, eternal I. We are regurgitating it because it no longer nourishes us. We've gotten allergic to it now. We know that there is contrast, that there's something more than this. There's something more than war. There's something more than hate. There's something more than killing and rape. There's something more than being envious and jealous. There's something more than just needing to be greedy, to have, while others have none. In order to change the outer world, the world of chaos, the world of the mind that the mind has created, we have to go within. We have to begin that self-inquiry, which will be unique to each of us, but which begins with its own hunger, which begins with you knocking on that door saying, let me in, only to find that you've always been in, and you only have needed to realize that in order to open up the doors, get rid of the walls. The only house that you have is the eternal I, and it is as vast, more so than what the mind can grasp. We are getting ready to mature into this state. And upon entering into this state and grasping a hold of it and learning to feed upon it and not just be pacified with it, but to be nourished by it, that will give birth to a new mind, to an Isis mind or the Horus mind, to a new consciousness, a golden consciousness as it has been called. And that golden consciousness is full of compassion. And that compassion begins with the self. And it only spreads outwards from there. It only increases. It is only relayed from there. But it has to be attained. And then it has to be maintained. Which means your mind is going to battle you for supremacy, for the godhood state, to be the one that sees, to be the one that says, to be the one that judges, to be the one that manifests its world, its sense of self, that creates its own nourishment. And it is nourished by other than love, other than unconditional love. And the realization of that alone helps you to awaken, gives you the tools, the armor, the instruction, the square to stand upon. You are the living temple. You have to destroy it and you have to rebuild it. That is birth, death, rebirth. That is life, death, and afterlife. And it is also known as the second death. Because once you arrive at this state, all of those energies and vibrations that you have been carrying that have supported the set mind must leave, must perish, must enter into what is called the lake of fire, must be eaten by Amet, I can't think of, but the little Egyptian monster there who is there waiting to devour that which cannot go into the afterlife, that which cannot be relayed past this point, that which cannot enter into paradise. And that is your thoughts that you are less than. You need to begin forgiving yourself. And understand that truly there is nothing to forgive. Because do you get mad at the child for crying and screaming because it's hungry? Do you need to forgive that child for throwing fits and waking you up and keeping you up because it is hungry? Do you need to forgive the baby bird for squawking? For begging? For so-called being a burden to its mommy? Because the mommy has to go and do all of this just to satisfy it? No, no. And when you get to that place in the eternal eye, you understand that everything that has occurred has been you falling down or dropping the relay thing and getting back up and beginning again. And those who have passed it to you have fallen or whatever. But you have it now. Doesn't matter how you got it. Doesn't matter what you've been through to get it. Doesn't matter how long you've been asleep. When you woke, you woke. And you began to do things that woke people do. You began to manifest from that place of seeing, from that eternal eye. That is the energy that you tap into now. That is what feeds and nourishes you and animates you and motivates you. And since it is unconditional love, you want to spread it. You want to see others with it because you recognize how hungry they are. And no matter what they're doing, that this is what they need. But it is up to them to choose it. You can only say, here, eat. It is up to them how long they're going to sit there and chew it. If they're going to swallow it or spit it out. How long it takes for their body to digest it and assimilate it. Their own strength to battle their minds. It is their process, just as it was yours. And all you can do is share. Okay, let's move forward a little bit. Looking at the Set and Osiris examples or archetypes, energies, ways of observing, ways of seeing. Something came up because this is about the eye in relationships. And one of the things that I have just been made aware of in far as terminology and as far as understanding what the terms mean. The term was catfishing. Catfishing versus romantic love. And you have to understand, again, when I gave you the essence of the divine masculine in the form of Set and in the form of Osiris, you need to understand that the energy of Set is what creates and nourishes the energy and vibration of catfishing. And catfish is a bottom feeder. And if you know what that means, it means that catfish eats the excrement of the other fish. So, to put it plainly, excuse my French, it is a shit eater. That's what feeds it. That is what nourishes it. That is what it is attracted to. when you understand that Osiris is a different type of energy, that it is inclusive, it is romantic, it has no need to hurt another. It has no need to pretend to be something else. It takes no joy or delight in the suffering, in the shit. Choice, free will is the soul's right. Meaning, the soul can choose the vibrational set as its I, as its sight, as its essence, as its energy, or the soul can choose Osiris, which is unconditional love, which is abundance for all, which is in complete contrast or opposite or mirror image. We have both as soul beings. But when you get to a certain maturity, you have to decide the I that is going to see as one, that is not divided, that is not separate, that has no need to separate itself, that has no need for contrast, that has no need to fight, that has no need to eat shit or start shit or be shit. As far as relationships go, again, with this understanding of where we are as a species inside the multiverse of being, the worldly self, the set self, the Osiris self, and the need for a consciousness, a new consciousness. The need to grow, the need to relay what has been learned and run forward with that, take that forward to the next generations. We are eternal beings. We are re-establishing paradigm in this Aquarian age. And this Aquarian age is the womb, is the rebirth, is the time to wake up. To get rid of the man-made concept of what God is, the mind's story or narrative of what God is or can be or could be or has been or will be. And to grasp that which had no beginning and will have no ending. Dwells, is a part of, is you. You are it. You are the eternal I. You are that sees. You are the eternal observer. In flesh. And it is the flesh that has created this mind, that has given you the delusion of being separate, that gives you a dual vision, the vision of the body, hormones, moods, ages, male, female, right, wrong, right, left, up, down, in, out. That is the form of the living soul. But the living soul also contains what we'll call the breath of life, which has always been, and which animates and opens and wakes up and gives birth to and feeds the eternal I that is within you. And you have to learn to see with that eye. And you have to learn that when you are irritated, when you are hurting, when you are suffering, when you are angry, that you are not the detached observer, eternal I, that you are in the set mindset, that mind's eye, the human eye is seeing. That's what you're seeing from. That's what you're manifesting from. That's what you're tapping into. That is what you are allowing to dominate. That is what you are allowing to cover up and hide your eternal I. And you're believing that more than you are the eternal I, which says, this too will pass. That too is something that your mind created. It only has as much power as your mind gives it. It is a thought construct that you gave birth to and that you allow. Because you are pretending that you are not God, that you are separate, that you are in the image of and not itself. That you need to be worldly in a world to exist. To recognize yourself, your gifts and your abilities, and to use that over others who are still asleep, so that you can maintain power and prestige, so that you can be set. and transform your desert into your own paradise, the illusion of paradise. All that glitters is not gold. Let me move on a little bit more. Also, there is no judgment with the catfishing thing. It is only through this understanding and contrast that we evolve. So understand both are tools. Set is a tool. Set is the contrast that you need to bend that light so that you can see the true reflection. That which is original nature is spirit driven. Set is the mind, Horus is the spirit. In order to achieve the greatest love of all, you must overcome Set. Set is the mind. Set is the matrix. Set is the chaos of what powers the outside world and can only be defeated by attaining your true identity, which is found through your love. Okay, my writing. Okay, Set is the chaos of what powers the outside world and can only be defeated by your attaining your true identity, which is found through love and your search for it. It is inside. Okay. Set can only be defeated by unconditional love for yourself. And your unconditional love for yourself, let me take that back to, I'll use the example of Adam and Eve in paradise and what they had and what appeared to them was Set, their minds. What appeared to Eve was her mind. And her mind said, you want to be like God. You admire God. You want to be capable of the things God is capable of. That became the forbidden fruit. Eat this. Know this. And you'll be just like God. Just like God. In the image of God. Meaning Eve and Adam did not already know that they were God. That God resided in them. That the eternal I was already in them. And that was the tree of life. That knowledge was the tree of eternal life. That knowledge that you are the eternal I. You don't have to be like something that you already are. When you say you want to be like something, you're saying that there is something less in you than. And so this is what was given birth to, that you are less than what you truly are. You are God-like, and you can be like God, but you're not God. That is the biggest lie ever told. That is the biggest catfishing expedition that can be had and devised and accommodated. There's nothing new under the sun, and all is vanity in this world, outside of your knowledge of your true self. But when you awaken to the truth of your divine essence, and when you tap into the reality of the truth that you have had no beginning and you have had no ending, and you need to work that out in your physical mind, that is done through genetics. That is done through nature. Nature shows you that a lion eats a gazelle, the gazelle eats the earth, and all return to the earth. So all are eaten. All contain the same thing. The lion is not greater than the gazelle. The lion is no different than the gazelle. It performs the same functions as the gazelle. The lion evolves, the gazelle evolves. At one point in our narrative, they had a beginning. They were what, saber-tooth and whatever else it was. And now in this time, they're known as lions and gazelles. Millions of years from now, they will have morphed into something else. We will think, oh, that's extinct. No, it just transmuted and transformed and became something else. This is how you become reborn, because your consciousness can no longer fit, can no longer accommodate the world of set, of chaos. Chaos has no place in harmony and peace. And when you are striving for peace, then you're striving for the eyesight of the eternal, of the God self, the God particle, the God concept, the God knowing, the God truth, the God awareness that is relayed and passed down to you. And it's up to you what you're going to do with it, what you pass on, what you pass forward. And that's done with how you live. And how you live is based upon what you manifest and what you create, the harmony, the balance within. And beloveds, that is going to do it for this communication, transmission, sharing, um, however you want to term it. Um, but it has been such a beautiful journey for me. And I'm able now to really laugh at the mind and all of its creativity and all of its depth and all of its layers and all of its narratives and the way it tries to catfish you and hook you and draw you back, reel you right back in. But the more and more you become comfortable with seeing through your eternal eye, from that perspective, from that consciousness, from that state of awareness and being awoke, everything must take its proper place. Because that is what divine order is. Divine order is self-mastery. Meaning you have to master your mind. And not allow your mind to master you. And to understand that as each of us reach this awakening point, that we share it. Because the more who are able to grasp that within themselves, the stronger the vibration of harmony will be. The stronger the vibration of consciousness will be, divine consciousness. The more respect we will show each other. The deeper unconditional love will grow, can grow, without boundaries, without borders, without limitations. Understanding that as we get more comfortable in the awareness, in the awakened state of our God self, those parts of our brains right now that cannot, we don't know what they do, the parts in our bodies that we don't know what it does, these will be activated. And they will be activated in the next generations. And the next generations will give birth to us again and again and again. It is beautiful. It is the sun itself. It is the light. It is the warmth. It is that which causes you to grow. It is that which causes you to glow. It is that which you can depend upon. You know the sun is going to be there. The sun may rise in the east and set in the west. But you know it's there, even no matter how much smoke is blown, no matter how cloudy. That sun represents your eye, your eternal eye inside of you. It is always there, and it will always shine. Whether you believe in it or not. It is what the ancestors, the indigenous ones, knew. It goes beyond words. It goes to the symbiology. It goes to the vibrations, listening, the harmony. The other thing that I was given is that numbers are words. The word listen itself, L is 10, or L is in 10. And L translates into 50, which is 5. 5 is in 10 twice. So, and 5 is in 10 is in 50, 5 times. So 5 is the number of humanity. Humanity needs to listen. The other thing that was given is that we are born with 7 holes in our bodies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then this one that we're born with that closes but is still open. These are the chakra centers. This is the number 7 itself, which is a very, very powerful number in knowing yourself, because it correlates to all these things which take you directly to the eternal I within you. Well, that is going to do it, beloveds. Again, namaste. And as I continue to grasp more and more and become more rooted in this knowledge of thyself, which is all of us, not just me, I will be sharing. And I am so appreciative to those who are also sharing. That's the way it's done. Each one teach one, each one reach one. We are each one. So it is truly a beautiful thing when you look at it from a place of harmony and balance. You understand what is taking place on a grand scale, and that it is the awakening of humanity to itself as God. It's knowing itself as God, not separate from, not less than, not in the image of, but as. I want you to begin to think of what can be born, what can be manifested, what can be created from this harmonious state. The relationships that will be born, that will be maintained, that will be kept, that will develop from this eternal I state, from the fruits of the Spirit itself. we have not experienced that in a very, very long time. Again, nothing is new, but we are returning by awakening to the fact that the eternal I, that which is divine, that which is the greatest spirit, that which is the greatest, highest knowing, that which has no beginning and no end, is you. And you are representing it by being, not by believing, but by being it and allowing it to be through you. These are contextual things, but they are things that you need to wrap your mind around to get your mind in check. Because it is us who feed this world. This world does not feed us. We are feeding it with fear. We're feeding it with greed. We're feeding it with sleeping and the need to stay asleep because we're scared to wake up. We're scared to be all powerful, all knowing, because we've been conditioned. You're a sinner, you're a liar, you're a cheat, you're a this, you're a tramp, you're a slut, you're a blah, 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 blah. You're less than, you're weird, you're blah, blah, blah. And all of that is so much easier to believe than you are an all-powerful being. You have no beginning and you have no ending. This is what hope is. This is what hope gives birth to. The hope that you will awaken from your sleep. The hope that you will know. The hope that you will return to paradise. The hope that you will rebuild your temple. And that you will be a living witness to the testimony of what is inside of you. So that all can observe. All can be fed. And all can feed. We become mothers and fathers, sisters and daughters. This is the way of unconditional love. Okay. Namaste.